Hi, my name's Suzanne Schaefer, and I'm an instructional designer at the Penn State York campus in Pennsylvania, USA. And I taught last fall a college reading course with first semester, first year students. And one of the things I wanted to do with them was to get them to start to think about the gap between high school and college. And so I had them do a series of reflections besides the regular content that we did. We thought about, building their critical thinking skills, and the framework on the page now is Paul and Elder's framework for critical thinking. Also getting them to think about being independent learners and disciplined students, good decision makers and problem solvers, to start to think about those things and their ability to control those things for themselves. And over the course of time, through practice over the semester, I could see them growing in these two areas particularly, but that was just my gut, and from their own reflective writing, not so much having any data. So this course is getting me to think, how could I do those kinds of reflective activities and also get better data to see what changes are happening for students. So, one of the other things I wanted them to think about was how they're developing just as people, understanding themselves and being open to new ideas and people, and gaining new ideas and being able to articulate what's important to them. And so through a series of reflections, I had them think about, where they are in these different kind of schemes of, their confidence level, the choices that they make. So there were a lot of things, their own curiosity level and their sense of identity and where their point of view comes from and what makes learning significant. This is the LD Fink framework or taxonomy. And so, the course, while we were doing lots of actual reading of college texts and breaking down texts for understanding, we were also doing a lot of reflection. And so these are some of the examples of the types of reflective activities I asked them to do as we went through the course. And they would turn those in and I would respond to them. And so we had kind of these individual narrative conversations, but they were individual conversations as well. It wasn't with the whole group, it was just between me and each individual student. And one example of how we used the reflective process was through, we used clickers a lot, and it was good because we could kind of gauge where they were and where they were at the beginning and where they were at the end, and that data got stored. So it was a little bit of data, but this was a pretty powerful one. This course was paired with an Intro to Psychology course, so that the readings we were doing were tied to an actual content course. And at the beginning, we were doing lots of information processing, just reading the text, pulling out main ideas, that kind of thing. And as they came into the first exam, we were just getting into some of the rehearsal and memorization strategies, but nothing deeper, no critical thinking yet. And so we talked about, in that process of preparing for exams, how much time did they spend on each one of those areas. And for them, they were spent less time on the self-testing part, and we found a research article that we then read that showed that was pretty common for college students, but also that was the place where it made the most difference in terms of their test scores. So, we had real data and research for them then to say, well, if I increase my self-testing time, that could also improve my test scores. So that was kind of the way we ran the course, with just informal data gathering, but using that as we went along to try and help improve their performance in their psych course. But as I started to take this course, I was still trying to think, how could I improve what we did But as I started to take this course, I was still trying to think, how could I improve what we did? It was informal, and I'm interested in getting maybe more formal type of data, and it makes a lot of sense with learning analytics and some of the social webs that we might be able to do more than just getting clicker data. And so thanks to Simon Buckingham-Schum, who's in this course, he showed me some work that they were doing that he thought I might be interested in with this LE instrument that is being used from the University of Bristol and researchers there, and he as well, in different applications of this, looking at what makes somebody a lifelong learner and builds learning power for students. And right away I thought, oh my gosh, that's what I've been trying to get my students to think about, but just kind of in a more clunky way. So I wanted to explore this a little more. And if you look at these areas, these 7 dimensions, which they've tested over time and gotten good data as to the instrument, I thought, I want to explore this a little more. So I started to think in terms of this course, how that might work into our project. So I thought, yeah, this effective lifelong learning inventory, plus reflection, plus learning analytics, plus my college reading course could be a nice way to pull all this together into a project for next fall. So I'm excited about that, still looking into how to actually gain access to the inventory, which is a 72-item web-based questionnaire, trying to get some funding to do the training that's required in order to have access. And of course, those things are always challenging, but I'm an optimist, so I'm going to keep plugging along. And so as I started to investigate this more, they are